My name is Joy Rains, and I stand before you today to talk about a case that actually reached the Supreme Court. But before I get started, I just wanted to know, has anyone heard of the Hosanna Tabor Evangelical Lutheran Church and School versus the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission? Okay, well, that's great. That means you guys will actually learn something here today. Well, first, I want to begin by talking about the case. And the actual case number is 10-553. It was um, argued on October 5th, 2011, and decided on January 11th, 2012, which means it's fairly recent. Some brief information about the case is that Hosanna Tabor, the school slash church, was actually looking forward to hiring some new staff. They were trying to hire teachers to fill a position, whether it was what they call um, lay, which is a professor who doesn't work in religious activities but just teach the subjects, or called, which are trained and taught and teaches under the faith. So everything they do is kind of based on the faith, but they also, teach the math, the science, and things like that, but they put a religious spin on it. Both of these classes, the lay and the called, they follow under the same criteria. They are required for the same things as far as the school goes. Only one participates in the religious aspect again. Next, we have the actual reasons following up to the leads of the Supreme Court. Hosanna Tabor actually hired a woman by the name of Cheryl Peerage, who got the position originally as a lay, but she trained and continued her education and became known as the called, which again is the religious part of teaching also. And when she became known as the called, she became a um, commissioned minister in the faith. So she was known now as a called and a commissioned minister. Between the time of 2004 and 2005, she taught kindergarten, and these were around the years that she began to suffer the effects of narcolepsy, which is a disorder that causes you to have uncontrollable desires of sleeping. And during this time, she was laid off or sick leave and laid off in that time, and she requested to return. And on January 27, 2005, she reached out to the school and spoke with Stacy Hoff, the principal, who informed her that she believed she was not ready for her to return back to Hosanna Tabor. Well, in this response, she, argued her point, and Stacy told her that she was recently replaced by a lay, and that this person will be continuing the rest of the year until the school term ends, which is like the summerish for them. Well, on January 30th, the actual members of the congregation, church members, decided that they would be willing to pay for her medical fees and bills and things like that, medical bills, if she would resign in what they called a peaceful leave. They didn't want her to cause any issues, or they have any issues or any animosity within themselves, so they just asked her to resign. Well, she wasn't actually happy with this, and with all this stuff going on, she said that if need be, she'll take it into legal matters. Well, of course, the school didn't want that. And so around February 22nd, 2005, a man by the name of Scott Salo wrote a letter to Miss Peerage stating that she was indefinitely terminated due to her causing tension and stating that she will reach out legal matters in regards to this employment issue. Well, she didn't actually agree with that like anyone else, and she called upon the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which they ended up helping her file a complaint against Hosanna Tabor, and they filed a complaint with Hosanna Tabor, and they responded back with saying, well, we had these actual we were able to do this by the ministerial exception, which is that we hire who we want, we fire who we want based on our own religious principles. Well, when that didn't go over, they eventually went up into the district court, who sided with Hosanna Tabor and believed that they did have just cause. Well, as the case continued on, they got involved with the Sixth Circuit, who didn't believe that the First Amendment applied to Hosanna Tabor. They believed that they didn't have grounds for firing, and that Cheryl Peerage was actually just for making this complaint, and that they should overturn the ruling, and that Hosanna Tabor should rehire Cheryl. On October 5th, 2011, which is the actual reaching of the Supreme Court, we find that Hosanna Tabor and Cheryl Peerage brought the case, and the Supreme Court decided in a 9-0 vote that Hosanna Tabor actually had justice for their decision. They believed that due to the First Amendment and the freedom of religion and the ministerial exception, according to the evidence that was given, that Cheryl Peerage was actually a minister because she taught prayer, she taught religious activities, she led services, and not only that, she was also in what Hosanna Tabor considered to be a minister under their own congregation by the called status. So they favored with Hosanna Tabor in the issue that she was actually called a member. She was actually called a minister. So by the end of the case, obviously, through all of this, the First Amendment ruled everything out. And the employment end of it was that she was not just for what she did. She was not just in saying that they fired her because of her disability, but the church actually had the right to terminate her because of their own religious stance. So all in all, the significance of the case, the church was found that the First Amendment did apply, and that no individual rights could surpass the church rights, and as long as they were trying to promote the mission and purpose of the religious institution, that they still had the ability to do so. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves and learned something new.